Hey, Bruna here, and today we're gonna see how I made this painting here. You see all the details of how I painted the cityscape and how I painted the character. So let's go. So I started this one with a sketch because the focal point was the character. And I already started changing a little bit from the reference because I wanted to show more of the girl, not just from her chest up, but also her legs and hips. So first I'm just drawing the character, getting the face to look correct with the right proportions. Then I changed a little bit of her hair. I wanted to give a little bit more movement to this painting, and I also added a companion to her head. I don't know why, I just thought it would look cute if she had an animal on her head. And then I started with the backgrounds. I started adding the flat colors first, so I had this grayish tone for the sky, and then I was adding the colors for this balcony she's on. And then you can see that I used a lot of selections for this, and I used the straight line one because for making buildings and other sharp, straight, inorganic shapes like this, selections are just the best. So I started making the building, and this larger one had all these hundreds of windows. And the easiest way was to just create a grid and then place it in perspective. And then I could paint a few of them, adding light. We don't want to make all of these the same color, so some of these are more of a lighter orange, and then some are brown and some are lighter yellow. And with these we can add that natural variation that comes from the fact that people don't buy all the same lamps. And then I added those weird construction things that I don't even know what to call, but like the triangle shapes. Yep, and then moved on to the next building. Of course, the first one isn't complete yet, but I have the base there, so I can get started with another one. And then the second one, I couldn't really decide at first if I wanted to already do the bokeh lights or if I wanted to first create the windows. So I tried both, and then I went with the windows then blur. I also changed the colors of some of them, added some glow to some. I think this was one of my first cityscape images, so I struggled quite a lot with getting the windows to look good, and just I was trying to figure out this process of painting buildings. The back one, I knew I was gonna blur a lot, so I did this structure with some good straight lines, and then I used a more regular brush to just paint some blobs. Then back to the second building, I used one of Devin L. Kurtz's brushes for this one to create the windows, and I'm trying to figure out which ones are turned on, which ones are turned off. And now you can see how it really makes a difference when you add different colors to the windows. It just looks so natural because people don't have the same lamp in every room, in every building, so you really gotta add this variation. Now I was blurring it, and I could add some glow to it. For the glow, you can see that I used an add glow layer, and it worked well. It was, oh, that's interesting, it was 100% opacity. Usually when I use that glow, I reduce the opacity, but I guess for this one, because it really is a super sharp and bright color, 100% works well. And then that's why you always keep a backup of your stuff before changing them. So I had blurred the main building, and then I realized I wanted more variation on the window colors. So I undid the blur, or actually I deleted the version with the blur and just got back to the original version and painted more variations, and then copy, paste, and blur. And now the background is basically done. We can get started with the lady. Just painting some basic colors on her. I remember I really struggled with this one. I hadn't figured out what painting style I wanted to make and how to do it. So, but it did work. For this one, I started with just painting already the colors and the lights and just manually painting everything. Adding some backlight to her hair because the light in this scene is mainly coming from behind her with the buildings. So that's why the back of her hair is lit up. Then I wanted to add this bluish color on her skin that we do see on the reference, but it's really subtle. And I wanted to push it a little bit more, kind of like an ambient light that is a little bit more blue. And it creates a nice contrast with the warm color that is shining on her. Then I zoomed in on her face because I wanted to, well, detail it. We only zoom in when we want to add details to the artwork. We are not gonna zoom in unless it's strictly necessary. At this moment it was, because how could I draw her eye properly if I was really zoomed out? So I zoomed in and started like crafting more of the lines and the shapes. And you can see that at first I was more like following the reference, making her with her eyes open. Later I'm gonna change this probably. Oh no, she does keep her eyes open, but she changes the mouth. So yeah, on the reference the girl was like thinking about life, had her mouth closed. I didn't really want to have this idea, so I opened her mouth and added some earrings to her also to increase the interest on the scene. Yeah, we can make small changes even when we have a photo reference that we are basically gonna follow. We can still add a little bit of us, like this is me. If I change her hair shape, if I change and add an earring, if I add an animal companion, then I'm making this mine instead of being just a study. Oh, I also remember this was one of the first night scenes I painted and I struggled so much with the colors. But it did work out. It's good to have this sort of practice. This was something I was not used to painting, so I gotta do it so I can get used to it. How am I gonna be good at it if I don't ever practice? Now, I already added the details on like the fur of her coat and some loose hair strands on her hair, just because it looks better like this and I like having a little bit of instant gratification. So it's like, yeah, it's probably not time to add highlight yet, but I just wanna look at it and think it's cute, at least a little bit. Now for the animal, I don't even know what animal I used as a base, but I know this was kind of made up. I don't think there's a species of this animal. I think I kind of used one or two and mixed them, like a fantasy animal. And it was fun, it was interesting. You can see how much I'm struggling with the ears. I just couldn't figure out what shape and what angle I wanted it to have. And then, oh, the whiskers are so cute. I really wanted to make this a really, really cute animal. So you can see the large round eyes and the huge ears and those whiskers. It's just all really adorable. And then I added some subsurface scattering to the ear, because, well, the light's coming from behind, it's gonna create this red glowy effect on the ear. I love subsurface scattering, and when you add it to the image, it just pops. Of course, you gotta know when to add it. You're not just gonna paint subsurface scattering everywhere. It needs to be on point. Which reminds me, I'm opening the doors to my Light and Color Academy real soon, and it's gonna be really awesome. If you want to improve your colors, improve your light and shadow, then it is exactly for you, for those who don't want to have the flat and boring paintings anymore. So just check the details in the description here. N. So now you can see I have like the animal is basically done, and I'm focusing more on the girl, and I want to make her, like, I polished her nose a little bit, and I want to have her mouth like in a big smile, because I thought, she was kind of boring before. She was just like, not really anything going on. And I thought, what if I add some wonder to her, like she's surprised by the animal or just happy to see it. So I wanted to add this big smile. And it worked much better. Before it was too whatever. Now I added some more backlight to her hair to really frame her. And it makes sense on the image because all the light's coming from behind. Well, not all, but the main light comes from behind. And I can really zoom in and focus on details like adding makeup to her or adding eyelashes and just polishing more of the image. At this moment, I was struggling to get the 3D feel to her face. And you can see that it looks kind of flat, especially the transition between the nose and the cheek. But then later on, I did figure out how to make it better. I spent a long time on her expression. But it makes a lot of sense. It's the focus of this image. Sure, it's important to have the background, it made a difference in the image, but the focal point here is the girl and the animal. So I really needed to take my time and make sure I wouldn't just draw her half-heartedly. I needed to do it properly. That's why I spent the most time adding, see those small glitters on her eyelids and just adding details to her because she is the focus. I remember I also found some reference photos of mouth open. I think maybe I even took a photo of my own for this here because I wanted this specific angle. And well, if you can't find a reference, just DIY, you know? Not gonna let the art look ugly just because you didn't want to have the small work of creating your own reference. You gotta do it. There comes a time when I don't really know what to improve anymore because my eyes are too used to the image. That happens to everybody. And so I go do other things so I was really used to her face already, so I went to draw some hair strands and focus on the earrings and do just other areas of the image so that when I go back to her face I can see it with a fresh pair of eyes. So I didn't really like the values that I had on this image, and you can see that I spent quite a while trying to work this out. So I made the character and the companion darker, I increased the rim light, and then I make it lighter again, and just trying to get the values to look good. Because before, when I darkened the character, it was too dark. So I gotta try to find this balance, use adjustment layers and just trying to get it to look good. And then back to the background. I hadn't really done anything on the balcony, so I tried painting some more of it. And then even though her outfit is in shadow, but I did want to add a little bit of volume to it, so you can see that I tried adding some light, and yeah. And then changing the position of the character, maybe the placement of the buildings. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it look better. And sometimes I go back to how it was before, but I wouldn't know this would be better if I hadn't tried. And with the overlay layer and an adjustment tone, and added some particles, and it's pretty much done. And then I realized her face was kind of really off, so I go back and try to fix it. It happens, even though I had already added my signature. At the time I used to post my art as Yane. So yeah, but then if you realize something's wrong, you gotta go fix it. You can't just let it go. And that's it. That's what we have for this painting. I hope this video was useful. And if you want to improve your art further, check out the next video here. Bye bye!